Any update on Jalen, and if not, what are the next steps with him?
We're still in consultation, still seeing how rehab goes. So right now, it's just a matter of like, can he get to a place where he feels some stability and some strength? And so, I wish I had better answers for you right now, but it really is a day-to-day kind of process to see where he ends up. And he's got really good mobility right now, and so it's just a matter of stability and strength, and kind of see what we get, and take another swing at it if we can.
And Mo left the game, obviously pretty late, did not return.
Yeah.
He's
got an ankle. I don't think he'll practice today, and it'll be game time. I would think there's probably some significant chance he won't play, but he's tough. He's tough as nails, so he might. I don't think he's going to go old school and just go straight toward all. I don't think we're allowed to do that anymore, but he's pretty tough.
With Jalen out, obviously he can be vocal from the sideline in practices, in the locker room, but do you need like a clear voice, like one primary voice to kind of step up? And who might that be if you do?
I don't think you have to have that. I think you can have niche guys. Last year we didn't have a clear voice that was the leader on this team. I think most of the time it's been for my teams, it's been a committee deal. I do have some guys that are emerging. That's actually super fun. But we're definitely in the process of figuring out so many things and growing so many things. But I don't think we're going to have one voice that kind of runs this whole thing. I think it's going to be by committee, and I think that's really healthy.
Hey, Coach, in the past you've talked about playing many lineups to kind of collect data. How much of the different lineups have been that compared to just finding something that just works?
Well, right now, we've had a couple tough games where we haven't played well, so there's been a lot of searching that way, and everything is new in that sense. But we are learning a lot about our guys. We're kind of learning who plays together well and how they play together and what situations they can function well in together, and so it's both. They're both happening in real time.
So much of the stuff that you guys do on offense is stuff that maybe doesn't show up in the box score, off-ball movement, cutting, spacing, all that stuff. I mean, through 5 games and 2 kind of lopsided defeats to high major teams, how do you kind of evaluate some of those non-box score stuff that you guys need to do on offense to produce?
Well, it's, it's hard for me to see past the most recent experience. There's so many different spaces, like the width that we're approaching within the floor was completely missing in our last game. Us being decisive on not just kind of where we earn catches, but also being decisive of what we're doing out of a ball screen, for example, being decisive about lifting to a second lift. Most recently we fell into this place of just being just indecisive in everything we did. It was the first game that we've had since I've been the coach here where we didn't have a single double paint touch in a possession and a half. That's never happened since I've been here. And so, and I think a lot of it comes from just not being, I know it's not being decisive. We had a lot of times where we're running to a flip screen and then we kind of shuffle over to try and change it to a straight ball screen. And we had times where we're trying to milk a wing over, but we're cheating in so far that there's no space, and we ran wide over and over and over and over again in transition, but we ran it it was almost like we were within the same extended lane lines of the game, and so just doing the things that we do, we've failed to be consistent in those. So that's a beginning point for us. That's the beginning point for us, is just lean into how we do it, and we'll get back there. This group is going to learn and be really good, but we have some growing to do.
BG seems to be really struggling. What are you coaching him up to do that he's not doing right now?
Well, BG has made some massive progress from last year. He didn't have a great energy night against Michigan State, but his conditioning has been great. His intensity on the floor has been great. He's on 1.5 points per possession plus assists. Like his offensive numbers, he's the second most efficient offensive player on the team. So he's doing a lot of things really well. He had a tough night against Michigan State, like our whole team did. But he is, since we started camp, he's been our far and away assist leader. He is, he brings so much to the table for us, and there's places for him to grow too.
Coach, you've mentioned the pregame experience before the Louisville game multiple times now, and you now have assistant coaches responding to fans on social media about it. Do you have any concern about rumors popping up based on the big?
What are the assistant coaches saying? This is great, guys. This is great.
Jason Hart.
Downplayed locker room chaos is how Jay Hart addressed it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think I talked, when we talked last, did we do a press conference? I talked about this. So it's there's nothing there. Like, it was literally, we flipped the switch early. Like, we came into our 40-minute meeting, and normally our 40-minute meeting, we try and keep it really calm and really relaxed because we're trying to manage our emotions, and it didn't work. Like, the guys were kind of like, nah, we're essentially, we're ready to flip the switch now. There was I wish there was more drama to make it more exciting, but it just wasn't. But the management of your emotion is really important to what we do. So I'm sorry that's a dud. I wish I had more salacious material for you.
While we're on the locker room subject,
Yeah.
obviously it took a long time from buzzer Tuesday night for you guys to get in the room. Just what was the vibe in there? What was the conversation?
Yeah. Well, it was not great on my part. You have so much emotion that you're trying to deal with, and you just have this, it's really an insanity, just how desperately you want to fix it, like now. Let's make it better now. Meaning, but kind of in an old school way of like, let's, we're gonna feel this pain so that we want to never feel this pain ever again like this ever, and all kinds of emotion, like exactly what you'd expect, frustration and misery and all the things that happen in a game like that. Not a good call on my part. It shouldn't be. There's really nothing constructive that can get done. We took some shots at some things that they're just not. When you go through this grieving process, it's a race to get to constructive, and so I've talked to the guys about that. That's not actually the way that we do this, and so it was a little bit of a miss on my part.
What do you know about Loyola and what they're doing?
Good team. They're playing well right now. They just played a terrific game last night on the road at Duquesne. It was a good team. They're changed defenses. They'll give us all different defensive looks. They've had some guys that have been shooting it better and better and better. They had a player that I didn't even know was on the roster that showed up last night and actually played really well. They're a good team. It's going to be a good competitive game. We're looking forward to it.
Mark, you talked about Brandon's energy not being where it needs to be. Otega said after the game that his energy wasn't where it needs. How does that happen for vets and guys that are returning?
Well, sometimes, listen, I mean, sometimes I don't have a great answer. I wish I did. And BG's, like I said, BG's been tremendous. It wasn't a great night for him against Michigan State. We've been practicing hard. I don't think that's a contributing factor to our energy in the games, but it could be. You're always wondering about conditioning. You're always wondering about timing and travel and schedule. Trying to fine-tooth comb those things a little bit. I don't have a great answer for that exactly. When you look at we're doing breakdown now of everything. We have sprints per minute, and we have accelerations per minute, and accelerations over the whole game, and change of direction, and all the data we have. It wasn't so much. I didn't feel like Michigan State, our guys didn't play hard. I actually didn't feel that. I felt like we didn't play us. We just broke down in the way that we play. And so then I think sometimes some frustration comes into it where there's a distraction from the event. So I don't I think that's a little bit of, it's like as coaches, we want to go into the locker room and be like, we got to play harder, which is, you always have to play harder for sure. Or we got to work harder. Yes, we always have to work harder. Those are actually, every single team says the same thing every single time they lose, and it actually doesn't change. There's always going to be a team that loses and always a team that wins. And so it's a nice emotional reaction that might make us feel better. It might be therapeutic in the moment just to lash out. It's what we do, but it's actually not constructive. And so I do think we have been distractible for sure, and that's a space where we have to make massive grounds. But our guys are working hard. Our guys are trying to compete. Our guys are, I don't see that as a massive issue for us.
Mark, I think you talked
Well, feedback got from NBA, the evaluation about they want to see him being more consistent three-point shooter. He mentioned that's a goal for him. But do you think that's maybe been a detriment right now because maybe he's forcing it too much instead of just kind of letting the game come to him offensively?
I think it's the same for all of us when we're hungry to grow. It's how we grow. And it's complicated, actually. It's complicated for us as a coach. I want to, we're always trying to throw in some new wrinkles. Like one of the, I'll give you a real world example. So last week we spent way less time in preparation for Michigan State, kind of reviewing and perfecting our secondary offensive options. And we spent a lot of time growing our play call list and kind of the nuances of some new actions. It was a big time miss for us because we were really dysfunctional in our secondary offense. And so as you grow, you don't want to grow and lose what you have. You want to grow and add to what you have. And for all of us in life, that's a complicated process as you rarely strike the chord exactly right. You kind of take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so that's the same for all of our players. All of our players are here because they're really special. They're really talented. They've done extraordinary things in their career. They have a great skill set. And so the trick is like you're hungry to grow, but you want to grow in a way that you're adding, not subtracting, and that's the growing process. And Ortega's going through that. All our guys are going through that. I'm going through that as a coach.
Mark, there is a lot of chatter out there about chemistry issues in the locker room. Can you just go ahead and dispel that?
Yeah, I think our guys love each other. They care about each other. They're trying to fight for each other. For every team in America, for every team in the world, for every team I've ever been on, there's always a sense of like this growth. The more you can love each other, the more you can sacrifice for each other, the more you care about each other. Like it comes as you work on it. Like loving is not something that happens. Loving is a verb that you actively do, right? And so I think this group is extraordinary. I think we're going to be great together. We haven't played well. We've had a couple really discouraging losses. It's not what we're going to be. It's not who we are. And I don't think it has anything to do with chemistry. I think it has to do with playing well and playing the game well and understanding how to play the game well and believing in how to play the game well. So I think this team actually, I think these guys care about each other. They love each other. They've served together. I would say that we have a really special foundation of a team with great chemistry, and we're going to continue to evolve. So I should have said that more concisely, but I don't think that's our issue at all right now. I wouldn't say that's even close to our issue. I don't think that pops up on my radar at all. This is a really special group of guys that are trying to find themselves right now. It's interesting. Again, I'll get back to the low-hanging fruit. We want to talk about, like, we want to paint people as black and white. We want to say that there's some people that are super selfish and some people that just are altruistic and give to the team. That's really does a disservice to everybody because there's nothing real in any of that. What happens a lot is a guy might come off as making us what we would term a selfish play because he so desperately wants to help his team. That's actually more often the case. And so, it's fun. It's fun because it's just fun. Like, we need stuff to talk about it. We need to have chatter, but this is a really good group of guys that really care about each other, that are trying so hard to do this for each other. But sometimes it manifests itself in a way that's exactly the opposite of what you're searching for.
Obviously, the focus is on this year's team, but the early signing period did just wrap up with no commitments or anything like that. Are you guys just looking forward to next year's group and the high school recruiting landscape? What's your outlook on that front, and how are you feeling about the way that recruits are perceiving your message out there?
Yeah, I think we're really excited about where we are. I think we're feeling incredibly optimistic about retaining players, about adding some really special high school players, and being great in the transfer portal like we will. I think we feel great about it. Actually, we're super excited.
Next week, before John Pelfrey comes to town,
yes,
another Wildcat, and what that means to you, and chance. How much do you know about him?
Yeah, I mean, I love Pel. Like, you talk about a legend, all-time legend, great human being, great coaching career, great legacy here at the University of Kentucky, great representative of the sport of basketball. It's going to be really fun to have him up. I know that BBN will be so excited to welcome him back into this gym. And I have a lot of admiration for him and the way he carries himself. So it'll be fun. We're excited about that.
Mark, I've seen your comments about that you woke up in cold sweats thinking about like the way the game last year, Ohio State went.
Yeah.
And for that game, you guys did wear suits. And I'm talking about the game, but what's the reason you went to quarterbacks?
Well, this is a good question.
Pressure off the team because suits are too formal?
No, it's a good question. Because I'm really not I'm not into that stuff. But in this case, I was. I'm like, man, that was such a debacle last year. I just got to try and change up something. But it didn't give us a better result. Maybe it's me and MSG right now for the last 2 years. I can't wait to run that back and fix it.
But you've been able to find like a common denominator in the big first half deficits.
Yeah.
Seemingly after the game starts pretty well.
Yeah. It's kind of been a little bit of a 10-minute breakdown. Somewhere in there, 8 minutes in, 10 minutes in, 12 minutes in. It's a tiny sample size, so I don't know how much staying power it's going to have throughout the course of the season. I do think that we've been, I do think in both games we've been frustrated with our effort defensively, our focus defensively, not our effort, but our focus, our ability to focus on kind of defensive assignments and doing what we do. I'll be honest with you, Michigan State, they're a great team. I didn't expect them to beat us that way. State for putting that game together and actually coming in and banging shots and being aggressive about it. So and Louisville was a much different vibe, right? They came and made some shots early, but that's kind of who they are, and that's what they've been. It's I think what they're expected to be. So I think the defensive part, and I do think that we've had some offensive slippage massively after the first 8 or 9 minutes. That second 10 minutes has been tough for us offensively, and I don't know if it's the wear and tear of the game or if it's the distractibility, but we kind of lose the simple principles that are so important to us about our bigs getting inside 3 to their spots, about us waiting in the deep corner, about us playing the width of the floor. These very fundamental things about us getting to a second side, about us continuing our hard cuts, about us getting a nice variety about sides of the floor. About us being really decisive in our ball screen actions and not being a probing, where our big is actually setting one screen and rolling hard into a Gortat or a late seal or a roll dunk, instead of kind of like we're setting it and backing away in this really weird space where we kind of lose our decisiveness. So, there's a lot of things that are contributing to it, but yes, in those 2 games, that was very similar, and the second 10 minutes were tough for us.
2-1. Was that game the fewest amount of actions, as I think you referred to them?
Yeah, it was really interesting. We got really stagnant. It's just not who we are. And again, I think it's, it's the question is not the interesting conversation is not that we did. I mean, that's clear and obvious. The question is why, and so, and that's the question that we're exploring right now. And it's a lot of things. Like it's our guys still learning that those principles matter and they actually work. It's a little bit of, like always will be the case, there's always this tension between me play calling and us playing. And it might be a little bit of me trying to grab the reins a little too much or a little too loose. There might be some, just slippage in the game. It's all those things. We'll figure out.
Mark, the coaches after the games, Valpo, Nichols, Eastern Illinois, they talked about just how physical you guys were with them. Didn't hear as much of that from Kelsey and Izzo. O talked Tuesday night about the practices being so physical and not translating. Why is that not translating against these better, frankly, teams?
Yeah. That's a question that we're going to continue to answer throughout the course of the season. One is they're more physical teams also. I mean, they're just better, more physical, more athletic teams. Early in the first half, we actually DA made a great read. They're a quick show team, and so he jabbed off the ball screen and hit the corner because they're also a high gap, and Ortega drives baseline and goes to dunk the ball and 55 made an unbelievable play at the rim. It's probably not the same play that somebody else is making. So just as one of 1,000 different examples. So that's part of it. It's really good teams and really good competition. Part of it's really early in the season. We're still in the process right now of massively kind of relearning ourselves from early in the season, and so it's all those things. Listen. We have a good squad, guys. This is a good group, and I have unbelievable amount of confidence that we're going to have a great season here. And I also know for a fact that we have an extraordinary amount of work to do. This is the best stuff actually for me. I know there might be some consternation out there, but I love it, man. I love it when you have to dig in deep and find your way through, and where guys are like forced to really not just look at each other and love each other, but lean on each other and count each other and have each other bail each other out. Like, this is the great stuff. And we have guys that are going to be able to accomplish great stuff. So now it's a process of scraping ourselves up and going and doing it. It's pretty cool.
Mark, I wanted to ask real quick about this report from the NCAA this week. They published that more than 1/3 of men's college basketball players have dealt with harassment from bettors. How do you try to help your players through that kind of negative potential?
We spend a lot of time talking about gambling because it's a dangerous. It's so accessible now. It's almost like it's accessible where you don't even know it, right? And it's so it's really important to us. We met with the team multiple times talking about this, and that's also a part of it. That's a part of it that the guys can't control, just like all of us. If we win by too much or win by too little, there's going to be somebody that just is paying a massive price for it, and their emotional outburst might feel like my emotional outburst for 45 minutes in the locker room after the game at Madison Square Garden. And it's just a real thing. But that emotional outburst, it can sometimes be really violent and really scary, so our guys know that if they get something that's over the line, that they need to bring it to us and talk to us about it, and we need to push it up the chain. But in a larger sense, we're going to be good as long as we can keep kind of our noise in the locker room and not spending too much time on the noise outside the locker room. It's really important both ways, when you're winning big and when you're struggling a little bit. And so it all falls into the same category of our guys being disciplined as they can possibly be about what they let in.
Thanks.
Okay.